The views and opinions of the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning and welcome to Guardian Radio AM. Today is Thursday, December. Yeah, they celebrate, I know the day. Yeah, the day is Thursday, December 21st, and it's a little after 11 o'clock in the morning. Once again, this is C.A. Newry. I can't believe the producer actually clapping that I actually know the day of the week. That is so low. And it's a little after 11 o'clock in the morning. Once again, this is C.A. Newry, and I shall be your host for the day. As I have a discussion on decolonization. That's a big word. I'm trying to fit it into the theme today, but the theme today is decolonization and whether there is a need to establish an entity to make sure that the Bahamas, as a concept, as an institute, be decolonized. I'm going to have Erin come in and give a definition of decolonization, but she's out downstairs. So in the meantime, I'll pontificate on what I think it is and why I brought this particular topic up. And then what I'm going to do is juxtapose it, compare it, and contrast it to various themes, which I hope will show the need for us to be decolonized. So we know that the Bahamas was colonized by Britain. Colonized basically a outside country imposing its rules and governance on another country and exporting their culture and thinking on that other country. That's my definition here. Like I said, I'll have Erin give her definition of colonization. And then we go into what decolonization means and whether there is a need for us to create an institute to have us decolonize. And I'm going to give a pretext or prefix as to why this came up. Recently, the body that is asking for reparations, right, did stage a protest, a mild protest, about the reopening of the British Colonial Hotel. They protested the name of the British Colonial Hotel and says that is a vestige of the colonial time, which is a dark period in Bahamian history. Now, most people know that I appreciate history and I don't want to eradicate the vestiges of our past. I want to celebrate it. I want to put it in its proper place and context that we can have a narrative of who we are as a country. So this conversation was difficult for me, right? As I heard the reparations Dr. Naomi Campbell Dean, right? I heard her argument, right? And I said, but the British Colonial Hotel is about 200 years old. The name itself is about 200 years old. You just can't just eradicate it. Then I thought, once upon a time, the Nazis ruled Germany, right? They were an evil entity, as evil as colonialism and indigenous people, the eradication of indigenous people that colonization did. And we know that everything Nazi has been eradicated. The Jews, Israelis, travel around the world looking for Nazism to make sure it's destroyed altogether. They put up museums and honor centers to celebrate themselves. And so they never forget. And that's one of their terms. They will never forget, so make sure it doesn't happen. However, in black majority countries, there is a narrative that we need to forget and move on. And I'm concerned that there's always people pushing for a particular set of people to forgive and forget and to move on, not to concentrate on their past and the egregious things that happened to them. Always move on. Can't forget that. You're always baiting people. But now I get this when I bring in Erin. My first question to her is, what is colonialism? and what is decolonization, a need for the Bahamas and by extension the Caribbean, but I'm focusing on the Bahamas, to be called decolonized. And then I'm going to give an example of things I think that we have inherited from that generation, that we celebrate as a part of us. And if we celebrate, it means that we don't mind being colonized, clearly. But without further ado, let me bring Erin back in. She's back inside. And the first question again is, what is colonialism or colonization, right? So we can establish a frame, a definition frame that the listening audience can say, okay, I understand where you're going from here. Let me see where this train of thought is going. So go ahead, Erin.
Good morning, Mr. Newry.
Good morning, man. Big topic today. Heavy topic. But I only could say tomorrow will be even heavier. But we'll see how it is.
All right.
I have a guess in for tomorrow.
Okay. So I found this definition of colonialism that I like. The policy or practice of acquiring full or partial political control over another country, occupying it with settlers and exploiting it economically. The state apparatus that was an example, the state apparatus that was dominant under colonialism. You have a place and you make it yours.
Okay.
It wasn't yours before.
But you claim it.
But you go in and you claim it.
Claim in
You
the name of
make
the
it
queen
yours.
and or king
Right.
and say, this is ours.
Right.
And then you change the place to make it look like yours, to be you.
Yeah, and not just aesthetically look like yours, but how it functions and how it operates.
Okay.
And you sort of gain full or partial political control by disrupting cultural practices, disrupting language, right? Disrupting music. So we quickly learn to speak the Queen's English. In fact, we herald the Queen's English over what is what we call Bahamian Standard English, right? We don't even think that that's a thing. This is the Queen's English, and then there's talking bad.
So now, what is decolonization or decolonization?
Well, decolonization is when you sort of extract those elements of the colonial system and the colonial master that controlled how you developed and how you lived, right? So you begin to extract them.
And basically a train of thought, I assume that's what you're trying to say. And I see you calling, I'm going to get to you shortly, but I just warned out, right? Before you came in, I mentioned the British Colonial Hotel. It's a lavish hotel. It's being renovated, and we're glad that it's open up. It gives a history of the Bahamas because of the number of kings, queens, and heads of government who stayed there. It's a prominent structure, number 1 Bay Street, right? I think their initial building was built by Henry Flagler, right? And it changed hands over the generations. It may be almost 200 years, maybe even older than that, almost 200 years old, right? And Naomi Campbell, Dr. Naomi Campbell Dean. Nyambi Campbell Dean made a point that the name itself is offensive. The name reeks of colonialism. The name says British Colonial Hotel, which tells a tale of a reign where the natives were dictated to, that their true selves were overshadowed, where they were brainwashed, they were dictated to, they were denigrated. And she made an argument that the hotel is fine, but perhaps there is a need to decolonize that concept of thinking, right? And we perhaps need to change the name. And I want you to give some commentary on that.
All right, so I agree with them, right? Especially since the hotel is reopening within the period of celebration for the Golden Jubilee, 50th. Surely it shouldn't have been an afterthought, right? It shouldn't have been something to protest. A part of the process of reopening, there should have been an open competition. And they should have reached out to the populace of the country and looked for new names for the hotel.
I hear you, but there's never a demand. There was never a cry out that a name needed to be changed.
I mean, there was a cry. It wasn't the largest of cries, but I've heard that request. I've heard that demand before.
What does the name evokes?
Right,
British
so you-
Colonial Hotel.
And see, this is where the conversation gets really, really interesting, right? Because from a marketer's perspective, right? From a marketing perspective,
To foreigners.
to foreigners,
Yeah.
right? British Colonial Hilton, British Colonial.
Hotel. Yes, I'm not sure it's Hilton anymore.
It suggests a grandness, right? Like a luxury that comes with it. It suggests you're going to be in a very grandiose building. You're going to have that old school colonial architecture, right? Like you're marketing an experience to foreigners when you call
What
it
experience
the
are we marketing?
Well, is a part of it as well. So it's not just the aesthetic of the building, the things you think about when you hear British colonial, but also some things like there's going to be a distance, right? Like you get the sense that you're going to be in the big house, the natives going to be in the field, right? You're going to have a particular type of experience.
But what experience is it? I'm trying to get to that. What experience does the name British Colonial conjures up?
For foreigners,
For foreigners.
it's going to be, first of all, I already imagine a high-end experience.
It's a high-end experience. Okay.
Right? And then I imagine that there's going to be, there's not going to be a lot of people around me, right? Like, no matter, even though the hotel is booming, no matter where I turn, space to myself, right? There's lots of open spaces, but that I won't see necessarily the natives as much. That's, for me, that's what I think is being sold to a foreign market.
And I hear you, and I appreciate the point, right? Because when we have luxury brands, and I was trying to think of one, the Luxembourg and some big high-wig hotels. That when you enter the place, the experience is not of the country; is of the narrative or the legacy of that place, right? So I'm thinking this British Victoria, I say British Victoria now, going changing the whole, the British Colonial Hotel would have a English flair, English ambiance, a regalness, right, about it, right? And perhaps that's what the owners want. That is contrary to what this new age Bahamian who want to have a Bahamian identity is pushing.
I feel you. I feel you.
Good.
I think you're making sense.
So this is where I wanted the conversation lead, right? We have some vestiges of Britain still wearing the wig, right? Saying my lord in the House of Assembly, how we react in the House of Assembly, how we do business. We still, and I come to you right now, Carl, we still have the trunk system where they give you credit in order for votes. That we have a patronage, that's what we call it, system where politicians, our new age politicians that we have now, have adopted a colonized approach to politics where they sustain you in terms of giving you gifts and whatever it is, and you feel obligated to vote for them and support them for life. I took care of your great Grammy, and therefore your vote belongs to me for generations. These are things that we have inherited from that colonial system.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, do we need to decolonize that, or can we ignore certain things?
Oh, no.
Right?
You need to decolonize that.
Let's
We
go
need to decolonize.
Just to say, let's go to the callers, and the callers just hang up. Go ahead.
We need to decolonize everything.
Okay, let's go to this first caller. Press
I
that
got
button
you.
for me, Aaron.
Yeah, I got you.
Go ahead, caller. Can you hear me? You're live now. Guardian Radio AM with C.A. Newry. I can hear you in the background. Caller going once. Caller going twice.
Hold on, let's try it again.
Go ahead, caller. Okay, then hang up. Yes, the numbers today are 323-6232, 325-431-4259. And if you call in from the Family Islands, it's 242-300-5720. Sorry for that long delay of me pontificating, but now the lines are open. You can call and participate in terms of the term decolonization. Do we need to decolonize? Do you find the name British Colonial Hotel offensive? Is there a need of introspection to see where we are headed to? A listing of the things we consider as normal, regal. Like in the hotel now, you can have piercings all over. You can have tattoos all over. But I grew up in a time where if you had tattoos, you couldn't get a hotel job. If your hair wasn't cut, you couldn't get a hotel job. Now we have Rastafarian hair there. Let's go to the caller there. Go ahead, caller. Can you hear me?
Thank you for taking my call. Good show to both of you. I attend Guardian University, and I learned just a few seconds ago, a few minutes ago, that we are on the verge of being colonized by the sharks. So you were worrying about some indigenous belief system that was given to us through Attorney Regis, and the papal bulls, Unum Sanctum, the decree that the Roman Catholics own all your cattle, your soul, and they could do what they want to do. You're worrying about that aspect. I understand the sharks are now going to colonize us. In fact, we're being threatened by the U.S. telling us that we are criminals, and we have to worry about how, they want to colonize us when the biggest criminal, as you know I'm talking about, is running to be president again. So we're being colonized all around, financially, by the aquatics industry, even by the media. So now, if you want to really be a decolonizer, learn how to trade.
Trade what?
Forex. The same crypto thing that Bankman went to jail for, you don't have to go to jail.
But who owns that system?
The system is owned by those who participate in it and those who are watching the movement as coins move from wallet to wallet, so you know when to move. It's owned by those who know when to move.
So what you're putting on the table is you believe that cryptocurrency and alternate forms of currency can decolonize the traditional global economic system?
It'll blow it away.
Okay.
Because, see, the whole idea is you won't be depending on conversations like this. You would have, yes, Sheraton, keep the name, tell the story. Use that as a marketing, use the story.
Well, see, that I think, okay, right there.
I like that point.
Well, no, but that's the point right there. They maintain the name British Colonial Hilton. Do you think they're prepared to tell the story?
No.
That's it. And I think that's a part of the process of decolonization, right? And that's a part of the reason for the protest. That it's one thing if you name and you're prepared to tell the story of the name. But if you want to maintain the name for its benefit but refuse to tell the story behind the name, then you are just maintaining a colonial space.
Agree.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So there's a number of indigenous people around the world who is embracing the idea of decolonization, even reparation. And there are people saying, but why are you asking for stuff? You don't deserve to be compensated for the wrong against you. You need to forgive and forget and move on and then build your own structure. And I'm asking Aaron, are we able to be decolonized? Can we create our own structure? And when I say create our own structure, can we plug in our structure into the mainframe network of colonization? Because, the same G12, G6?
G20, G8?
Though G8, right? The colonizers still controls the world. Can we be independent of them?
Take the call and then I can answer you.
Go ahead, caller. Can you hear me? Guardian Radio.
Hey, CA, hey, Aaron.
Morning.
Morning to both of you, and season's greetings to you as well. There's an old adage that says you don't know where you're going unless you know where you came from. Personally, for me, I see no hesitation as far as the name British Colonial Hilton is concerned. I mean, that's part of who we came from. I mean, why would you want to eradicate your history when all we basically have to do in the New Bahamas is like Newry, you hit the nail on the head. Create our own narrative, our own space, even based upon that, and show how the Bahamas and the Bahamian people have grown from building this country.
Jeff, let me engage you, right?
Yeah.
I would say, or counter that with, there is not enough space. Because we have adopted and embraced colonialism, right? We have not moved to the point of creating our own systems. We just don't know how. So
Well-
the colonial system still exists. In fact,
Well-
how our politicians operate
Uh-huh.
is based on colonization. And they cannot come up with a new idea because we are afraid to challenge and change the status quo, which is colonization.
As I accept what you're saying here, and it is absolutely correct. We cannot now continue to blame the colonizers. We have to basically now blame the current leaders who now have the power to begin to change the process that we have here. But you know, the indoctrination has been so strong. Whereas a system that we knew that worked for the colonizers, our leaders have adopted that, still utilize it today, and still yet today we are looking at the modern Bahamas, and we want to begin a systematic change of where we can talk about Bahamianization instead of colonizing. I can't blame the colonizers anymore. It comes down to our leaders.
Jeff, I still blaming them. I still blaming them because why would you in a time like this, why would you demand the best? Why would you come into another person's country, a developing country compared to yours, and demand the best real estate? But I want to say thank you, Jeff. I got 2 more calls on the line.
Okay, thank you, Eric.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Good morning, caller.
Hey, good morning, Aaron Green, and good morning to C.A. Newry.
Morning.
Jeff, I'll take it a little further, man. You know what I mean? You can't blame the leaders. They blame me and you. It's me and you. See, but, you know, like my grandma used to say, we need passing through this world. You know what I mean? And all the things that we men go and may have take on a different shape or form, but there ain't much of this world we could change. The only thing we need to do is be able to stand our ground with certain aspects of our society and our well-being. But ain't much, this wave moving, and ain't much we could be able to do to stop it. You understand? But I was supposed to call C.A. Newry Tuesday, but he had a full show to give him an update on the progress with my eye thing. But what happened is we had to postpone because PMH Records, Rebecca called me early in the week. PMH has not supplied us with the record, the hospital there with the records yet.
So you had to postpone your whole trip to the United States of America?
Huh?
You had to postpone your whole trip to the United States of America?
Yeah, we had to push it back.
Because
we had to
PMH
push it back pardon me?
because PMH didn't secure the transfer of the records.
They haven't gotten the medical records from PMH as yet. And then I supplied Mr. Newry with an update on the account, which was from 1,500 minimum, it was only about 800 and something. So we realized that it was Christmas time and everybody doing what they doing. It wasn't postponed till mid to the end of January until we get all the medical records that are needed to go. But I would still like to thank Mr. Newry and thank everybody for how we're moving so far. You see?
Yes, sir.
But
Absolutely.
I wanted to call him on Tuesday, but he was busy with another show.
Yes.
Thank you very
Okay,
much, Marvin.
thanks for taking my call, eh?
Yes,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Thank you for
Okay,
the
man.
update. And a big delay has occurred.
And he still needs some more funds
Yeah.
to travel to the United States, so we need to work on that. I'll give you
Absolutely.
some information on that later on. But let's go to the next caller, producer. Go ahead, caller.
Hello.
Hello, go ahead.
Hey, I was wondering, like, if you all don't think it's more we could do, like, to help the Red Cross, us as a people and as the government, knowing the government is fine, a lot of funds to do a lot of things, even with these web shop owners. I like to call them the number boys, but with the most respect, the web shop owners, this thing what they be doing, like what they doing today, is a good thing. But I know we can't tell them how to spend their money or how to give back, right?
Yes, we can. But I
I think we
appreciate
can,
your
but for
graciousness.
those smarter people than you and me, and you know you smart, right?
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
say that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I ain't trying to tell them how to do their money, but how we know Salvation Army and the Red Cross is be distributed and helping people all year round. And they crying right now. I hear the Red Cross saying in spite of all of the, I think it was in the papers last week or week
This
before
morning.
last, the banks, you said put a pause or something?
No, I said it's the story in the Nassau Guardian. Red Cross takes a hit. Charity sees 60% drop in donations as demand grows.
Yeah, and I heard them on the news. Thanks for reading that, Aaron. What I'm saying is that the banks, them, I don't know if it's CIBC or RBC or whosoever, they normally, it's not bragging, but give us a statement to say they making profit and how much profit they making. Well, I think they don't know what they making and they don't see what they making, right? And in spite of all of that, you know, the tourism going up and the hotels might be saying they doing good. The web shop owners making money and different things. I mean, our charity, like the Red Cross and Salvation Army, come on, that's why I say it should be more we could do as a people and a country and as a government to assist people like that. When I say people like that, the Red Cross, and you know what they saying? They say this ain't just no poor people like the blind, people like pauper and the cripple and the disabled and all that. They say these high society people who can't find food, who have jobs, who could pay who could afford to put something on the bills but can't get the food. They're the kind of people who now go into the Red Cross and the Red Cross cry. And it's just like the churches. You have so many churches and all. I say we worshiping God, right? What Mr. Fox and Mr. What's the man named Sabas? I don't be into that one. I like Fox, and that's just my opinion. What they doing is it's like a competition. All I say, we trying to help the poor, right? But why don't we come together and do it more sensible? You know the Red Cross is official. You know Salvation Army, even the rich people, when I say the rich people, the people who live in the frontiers but catching hard times now, they go in there. Why don't let's do it that way? What the White House, I finished right now. What the White House saying, United States, that sound like they saying the senior officials in the White House, what they saying about us? What my question really is, are they talking about all of past governments, Ms. Green, or are they talking about this particular New Day government with Brave Davis? What are they saying? Is it in the papers? Would you are?
I don't see it on the headline. Americans been talking about us bad again?
Well, they ever been talking about us, but you know, in spite, you know, I might be a part of a family, but I ain't going to indulge my family and cloak them. I ain't going to try and make them shame. I ain't going to know that they say we wasted in no other family. But I can put you on the side and say you're wrong. What my question really is, if it's so what I hear on the news, like they saying what they saying about us with all these contracts, giving them patronage and high officials and what they say, convenience, how they say it? They say, they use the word convenience, with profiting on convenience or getting, you know, they talking about the people in the Boston who's supposed to be helping the poor people, them.
Limited enforcement of anti-corruption laws, U.S. says.
I was wondering if they care, if we should care less what they say about us. I mean, our leaders carrying on like that, right? They can say we ain't doing nothing wrong. Should we care about what the international people say about us, or people like the White House, the officials, them senior officials, them saying about us with this corruption and these politicians and the way they conducting themselves and stuff? I ain't hear them say too much about the courts, but they might mean in the courts too.
Of course we should. Yeah, man, Papa, thank you. Thank you so much. Of course we should be concerned. Of course we should care and we should be concerned. And we should see it as a tool, and we should use it as a tool to our benefit. Right? That's it.
And Aaron, I think all that's a part of colonialism too, or colonization too. The way we do business, the way we treat charity, in terms of, Papa mentioned the number boys, right?
Right.
In terms of charity versus empowerment.
Or forget empowerment, charity versus structural reform.
And
because
I use your word, structural reform.
Basically, what we're seeing today are people who are asking for things that should be their government. And here's what I mean.
Mind you, we had that same complaint during colonialism also, right? When saying instead of being providing infrastructure for the people who live in the Bahamas, right? They withdraw all of the monies and develop the United Kingdom, but not necessarily the Bahamas. We had poor infrastructure, poor investment into education, and that continues because we have adopted and accepted the colonizer spirit.
Mm-hmm. See, if you teach a man how to fish, then a man will then begin to observe and reconcile with the environment within which he's fishing, and then he can let you know, boss. For us to be able to fish more effectively and efficiently, we're going to need access to this particular part of the land. We're going to need infrastructure in this space, right? To teach a man how to fish is, I think, a perfect example of colonialism. You giving him the fish every day. You maintain him in a position where the only thing he could worry about is if I can get this fish from this bay or not. That's it. And he's waiting for the fish, as opposed to enabling him, putting in place the infrastructure necessary for people to govern themselves.
We have another telephone call here. Producer, patch that call to me, please. Go ahead, call. Can you hear me? Turn on your radio there, please.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Newry. Good morning, Aaron.
Morning.
Morning.
How are you today?
We good. Come to the station and come collect your prize from participating in the competition yesterday. In fact, all prizes are ready and available for pickup at the
Also, I want.
at the front desk. Everybody, listen, everybody that we documented through phone call or text will get a prize.
Okay, so I can pass here today to collect.
Yes, you can pass here today to collect.
Okay.
At the end of the show, we're going to announce who the grand prize winner is. But everybody that participated has a prize.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, now what I wanted to say was you were talking about teaching a man to fish.
Mm-hmm.
Because literally, if you teach a man to fish, you no longer have to feed him.
Mm-hmm.
If you teach a man to farm, you no longer have to feed him. But if you continually give a man a fish, then he has to come back to you as soon as his plate is empty.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? And saying, making like how even the way the country is developed, talking about colonialism, even the way the country is developed, now people are saying, okay, someone like me, because I love to fish. That's why I survive. Fish is very expensive. So as much as I can fish for myself, I go out there and I throw my line. Montague is one of the places. And, I've been hearing a lot about shark attacks and hearing a lot about shark sightings and stuff. So I'm now skeptical of going out there, even though I go late at night. I'm skeptical of going out there to fish because of that. However, long story short, the Eastern Road, nice place to fish. But all the places that you can get to that is not rocky is gated off. Mm-hmm. House or no house. They just have fenced up. You can't get to the properties. You can't get through the properties to get to fish.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. So how is it that we are moving out of colonialism if we are still boxed in? We are literally boxed into the center of the town because the outskirts are owned by people who are not us.
Yep.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
It's a concern, definitely a concern.
I appreciate your reading, your reading of colonialism.
Yeah.
Absolutely. See, when you give a man a fish, right?
He will return.
Not just that. When you give a man a fish, he don't have to go to the ocean to catch taps. He'll never
Aaron,
see.
you jump past the mark. If you give a man a fish, one, he's not going to learn how to fish.
Yeah.
He has no need. Then he's going to turn around and do the same thing as child. Give his child a fish.
But
because that's all he knows.
But
that's
he still
what
have to wait on. He still have to wait on you to bring him the fish to give to the child.
Exactly,
See,
and then the child is going to grow up doing the same thing. My children now love to fish because why? I go there and I fish.
If you prevent him from fishing by giving him a fish, right? Because he's in desperate situation. He's just waiting for the fish to come. He never actually ventures to the water's edge. He never sees what's taking place on the water's edge because you have him home. You tell him, look here, don't leave the house. The fish come in. I don't know exactly when, but you must be in your house. You must.
And guess what? That also ties into the political system, Not to get off talk, course, because if you look at it, these people, certain, like the two major groups, parties, they sit and wait every 5 years for somebody to hand them a bag of bread, one cup of tea, and a bottle of rum, and they good till the next day. They don't care. They don't care which direction the country is heading in. They just want what they want on their table to help with the rest of your table.
It's because they are in a place of desperation maintained by those who are responsible for maintaining the environment.
And as you go up,
we got another
when
call
you become
on
a man, you put away childish things.
Yeah.
So stop waiting.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. This Christmas season, a number of politicians are giving out ham and turkey. And you can call in and tell me whether you ham or turkey, or if you get a fruitcake.
Let me tell you how very drastically concerned I am about that, Mr. Newry.
You won't get no ham, eh?
I'm not worried about ham. I'm going to go buy one ham.
You could get free ham from your politician.
Nobody in St. Anne's constituency can away free ham to me.
You get free fruitcake then?
Not to me. It's cool.
Okay.
But here's my point. There's a whole golden yolk production project The government has initiated a golden yoke project where they have enabled and incentivized and financed individual farmers to start poultry projects for egg production, right? For egg production. Where you getting the turkeys from?
Foreign.
Why didn't you, along with the golden yoke production project, why didn't you accompany that with a poultry project so that you could have access to chickens grown locally by Bahamians to be able to give to constituents at these special occasions? And if you could inspire a private donor, to give you enough for all your constituents, how come you cannot inspire a private donor to give you money to build an after-school center attached to the constituency office?
I wanna know-
Or to put up street lights and benches so that young people who have to catch the bus could be safe from menacing predators?
I want to know what you have against getting a free ham and a free turkey. Why do you want the lights fixed? This Christmas time.
I want the lights fixed so young girls could walk home in Christmas time when it gets dark early without the fear of being dragged in the bush and molested, because the roads are better lit and people are paying more attention to what's happening.
Well, we see a number of politicians got sponsored ham and turkey from foreign investors, right? So I guess you are right. They could have asked for something grander. But we live in a colonial system. That ain't important. Let's go to the caller. Go ahead, caller. Can you hear me? Producer Patrick, caller through. Go ahead, caller. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good. Yes, good morning, Mr. Newry, Mr. Newry and Aaron Green.
Yeah, morning.
Yeah, I like this topic, of course. You know, I agreed, Mr. Newry. And so something he said initially was they want us to forget about what happened, right? So if, you know, I don't know if you listen to the news to the States and, you know, the talk shows, you have to be aware. They're having the same problem with chaos being produced by migrants and governments all over the world. In Europe, they're producing this type of scenario where they're trying to induce a certain amount of fear and control over people by using various different scenarios, pandemics, climate change, et cetera, et cetera. I don't even want to discuss it, but what I'm saying is some of the callers are short-sighted in their learning about history. And so, you know, we could go way back, but as far as eugenics, Francis Galton, natural selection, which I knew as fittest of the fittest, which is slightly different, but it's basically all the same. These are the concepts. Preservation of favored races by means of natural selection. So this kind of ideology behind eugenics is what gives the race superiority concept. And so they want to maintain this. And so, of course, Aaron, I love when you said you blame them, and Jeff said you can't blame the colonizers. I blame them both. I blame our governments for being weak and selling us out, right? Mm-hmm. And then I blame the colonizers because we forget the word neo-colonialism today. There are many hidden ways in which colonialism is being perpetrated that we're not aware of. And so we all know about proxy wars, right, Aaron? Mm-hmm. And then we can look at the effects of proxy wars in Asia and Africa, et cetera, and we're all over through the world because these people do globe-trotting, politicking. That's what they do. And so they've realized that from the failure of the Caribbean and most island states to unite, then they prey upon that. And so we have signed on to the United Nations and all other things in blind belief. This is why during the League of Nations, Arab nations were reluctant to sign on. You need to read the history of it and the conflict. Anyhow, this is why they were reluctant to sign on to it because they knew. So then we could talk sovereignty all you want. As a matter of fact, as the talk show came on, he was talking finance and he was talking about something that the European Union wanted to enforce on us as far as financial disclosures. But then he was saying he's a sovereign state, but he seems he want to play naive as to what like the impositions. I just don't get it. Some people, when they're so educated, they can't see anything. I just don't know why. But when we look at it as far as giving a man a fish produces subservience and mass conformity. This is what they love. They have to do it. This is nothing new, Aaron.
Before you go 52,
Aaron, banks, insurance companies, and businesses, they benefited from slavery, and they still have the money up to this day. So what they did was they changed their names, but they are still deep-rooted in slavery. This is where they initially made their money from. So in that
52.
I could call a few.
52.
So we also must remember that slavery is genocidal, because genocide entails killing, mass enslaving, and indoctrination. Bless up.
Bless up. Let me ask Aaron. Should we be concerned that our politicians, that our mega millionaires are affording us harm in Turkey in a time when we're in an economic crisis, right? And needed, not saying that we don't need harm in Turkey, but we need instructions on how to get out of this hole we are in. Should we be grateful or should we be concerned and say, hey, what you doing ain't helping us? That's the question.
We should look them straight in their face and tell them what you're doing. Not only is what you're doing not helping us, when you sat in front of your TV and you listen to that famous speech by Obama when Obama said, listen here, billionaire, you didn't make that money by yourself. You didn't build the roads. You didn't sweep the office floors, right? You didn't do all of the things necessary for you to amass those billions of dollars. Did you not hear him talking to you also? Telling you that you cannot turn the Bahamas into a plantation for your own personal economic benefit?
You're trying to say I shouldn't be grateful? Say thanks?
No, you shouldn't be grateful.
I mean, I must demand more.
And say thanks.
I need to demand more.
Of course you need to demand more.
I'm going to the call, but one of the things or vestiges of colonialism is when the government is not accountable. I'm going to read this headline or the first sentence, right? The Youth, Sports and Culture Minister, Mary Boleg, said the government would spend whatever is necessary to make certain next year Carifta is great.
Pause. Whatever money.
Whatever money.
For the Carifta Aquatics.
Yeah, whatever money it is. Whatever run over.
He didn't talk about the stadium. Did he talk about how whatever it takes, we're going to get the stadium up for the AAA?
It could be whatever again.
For the relays, but we had no real concern for all of the other activities that were already scheduled to take place.
Whatever they said.
On the
Whatever money it takes, we can spend. Whatever.
He's just talking. Don't worry about it.
You just talking? You think he's just talking?
Yeah.
He's giving you a heads up. Whatever. And see, this is a vestige of colonialism, where the government is not entitled to respond or be accountable.
Right,
to
it's a plantation.
people.
We talk to you, you don't talk to us.
Yeah.
Right? This is our money. It's not yours. You pay taxes, it's my money.
Whatever.
It's not yours, the
Whatever it
citizen. It's mine. Right? It's obvious. You spoke to it earlier. 52 used the word neo-colonial, right?
Mm-hmm.
The present government and political system is a neo-colonial system. They've just repackaged
Yes.
a colonial power and tried to give it new and fancy names. I looking at this. Go to the call.
Let's go to this call and you look at the article and read it right after the first next caller. Go ahead, caller. Can you hear me? Caller going once. Go ahead, caller. I can hear you now.
Hello.
Hello.
Good morning. I'd like you to get on your show.
Yeah, you on the show. You live.
Oh, good morning. How you doing, Mr. Newry? And good morning, Aaron.
Morning.
Yeah, Aaron, you're talking about decolonization. That's what you're talking this morning, right?
Yeah, decolonization.
Yeah, to get rid of the British era you're talking about?
It's not to get rid of the British era. It's for us to understand the ways in which British culture, our indigenous cultural practice, to make us something other than we are. They were forced onto us to make us subservient to them, to make us understand that is our role in life, right? That's why in this conversation about renaming the British colonial Hilton, the people are telling us, like, why would you don't see how you benefit from the vestiges of colonialism? And I'm telling them, no, I see how I'm not benefiting from the actual presence of colonialism in my country right now.
Hey, but Aaron, Aaron, so is a balance we have to deal with based on, I mean, we have basically Brits here, we have Europeans here, we have a multiplicity of different nationalities in this country that happen to have a Bahamian passport. Am I wrong?
You mean, right, so we have a large array of ethnic groups that are also Bahamian nationals.
Yeah. Hey, but Aaron,
Yeah.
On decolonization, you talk about decolonization of the British, at least they're at least all the remnants of Britain. That's basically what they're talking about. But I mean, you are not mentioning. Well, how about like we have this. Our culture is being changed by Haiti. Why are you going to talk about that?
Okay, so watch this. I talk about cultural imperialism.
No.
Hold
What I'm
on,
talking
pause.
about.
I know, sir, I know exactly what you're talking about.
No, let me tell you exactly what I'm talking about.
Dear sir, I used 3 words. And because those 3 words weren't what you expected to hear, let me talk to you about colonializing people right now. What you attempted to do to me about. You have a question and you have a preconceived answer. And if I don't give you that answer, then I'm wrong. But you didn't even wait to go past 4 words to figure out if I was heading in the direction that you wanted me to head in. Right? Bang. Colonization is when a more dominant power comes in and takes control. What's happening between the Bahamas and Haiti is not colonization in the sense that we're talking about today or in the sense of the British colonization of the Bahamas. What I was going to share with you is that I talk constantly about American cultural imperialism and how it's a neo-colonial mechanism that aims to do the same thing through culture. Right? That's what I'm going to tell you. Do we have an issue with the potential loss of Bahamian culture? Yes. Is it specifically to Haitian culture? No. Is it because of Haitian culture? No. It's because we hate ourselves. We don't really think that we are of value. We have inherent value as people of African descent, right? And so we are susceptible to any dominant culture coming in and taking us over. Right now, we're looking at the ways in which Britain did it, and those things still remain. I was hoping we could explore the ways in which America is actively doing it, right? And then we could get into the ways that Haitian culture is taking root in the Bahamas. But if we do that, we're going to look at the good and the bad.
Let's go to the next caller there, Aaron. Producer Patrick, go ahead, caller. Can you hear me?
Hi, good morning, gentlemen. Lady and gentlemen.
Morning.
Pleasant day. I tuned in at the time when you had mentioned about a ham and turkey, where persons are able to get sponsors for those, but not sponsor for after-school programs, etc.
Yes, sir.
So I would like to say, as an educator, as a teacher, that we also need sponsorship for devices and internet access, because I spoke to some students on the street walking by. They're really clever, but they don't have access to a laptop or any sort of computer.
Yes, sir.
To gain access to the internet from their homes as well.
Yep.
I have a website that
Piers, we lost you, caller, and we are at the very end of the hour. For all of the winners of the On the Clock Guardian Radio AM giveaway, your prizes are available to pick up right now. Francita Nabi, Ashley Clark, Ruthnell McNeil, Donna Green, Brooks, Italia June Carey, good morning, ma'am, Melrose Pinder, Therese Ferguson, Julie Thompson, Arlington Hannah, Chigozi Ijuma, we can call you Chigozi, Terry Cunningham, Jason McCartney, Derek Dames, and Ms. Melrose Pinder, you are the winner of the grand prize, Julie.
That's Julie. Anyway, Guardian Radio AM is 12 o'clock. Have a wonderful day.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.